hereby join presiding for remaining session until adjourned by Chair and Jewel. May be seated.
Remain standing for invocation. Mr. Thomas.
Repeat the Lord's Prayer. Our
Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Pledge allegiance, Commissioner Atwood.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Beverly Everett, here. Marianne Baker, here. Ben Buckmaster,
Here.
Shane Burton,
Here.
Gary Clary,
Here.
Coy Hickey,
Here.
Bill Ferguson,
Here.
Jerry Ford,
Here.
Bud Greger,
Here.
Randy Dillon,
Here.
Richard Carter,
Here.
Mike Jewell,
Here.
Linda Johnson, here. Richard Johnson,
Here.
Brandon Jones, here. David Lawler,
Here.
Amber Russell, here. Brent Thomas, here. Gary Walsh, Steve Lee.
Here.
19 represented.
Thank you, Rita. First item of business tonight would be the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on June 22nd. They were distributed. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes from June 22nd? Mr. Harsh,
Move to approve the minutes.
have a motion to approve the minutes. Second by Mr. Ford. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is done. Thank you. Have a few announcements. Did want to make everyone aware that we received a letter about our budget from the Comptroller's Office. Says that they have received the budget and have determined that the projected revenues and other available funds are sufficient to meet the anticipated expenditures. And it says that this letter constitutes approval of this office for the county's fiscal year 2021 budget as adopted by the county commission. So we did get our budget in on time. They have it approved, and very thankful for everybody's hard work on that. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that that had been approved. Also, I received a card, a thank you card. I'd like to read it to you. It says, I'd like to thank all of my fellow commissioners for the heartfelt note of condolences that each of you signed after the passing of my son. Thank you all for thinking of me during this time. Commissioner Harsh. And once again, we'd like to express our condolences to you. Also, had received a letter of resignation, and I think we still have that on. Okay, I'll get to that. Did receive a letter of resignation from Commissioner Thomas, and we will acknowledge that later in the evening. Hate to get that from her, but certainly understand. Also received this week a letter of resignation from our Judicial Commissioner Charles Puckett. It says, to whom it may concern, it's been an honor and privilege to serve Trousdale County as a part-time Judicial Commissioner since 2006. Effective immediately, I tendered my letter of resignation. And that was Monday, 22nd. We received that. Hate to see Commissioner Puckett leave. He took the job very seriously and worked very hard at it to try to do it in a very professional way. And I think he will be hard to replace. But if you see him, thank him for his time and for working with us. And that appointment, my understanding, be up to Judge Linville to put a name forward to us, and then we will confirm that probably, hopefully, at next month's meeting. Right now, the judicial commissioner duties are being carried on by Mr. Brown. He's and pretty much take care of all of it, it's my understanding. Are there any other announcements? Anyone have any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on. Have before you our agenda for tonight. Is there any amendments or motions to the agenda? Anything that needs to be added, changed? If not, I entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Have a motion by Mr. Ford to accept the agenda. Second by Ms. Jones. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. It is done. This time, we'd like to invite any of the citizens in our audience, if you would like to speak to any of the items that are on the agenda tonight, if you would come forward and sign in, give us your name and what it is that you'd like to speak to, then we can call on you at the appropriate time. If there is an agenda item that concerns you, of course, you don't need to sign in. We would recognize you if you needed to be asking questions about it. Anyone like to sign in? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's start this month's mayor's report by talking about the landfill. Most of the work has been completed on the cap of the landfill. It has been through a couple of rains, and Mr. Salisa has held up really well and is draining off like it's supposed to. The only work remaining is on the access road, and that work is going to be done by the county highway department. So that project, as far as the contractor is concerned, is completed. We have submitted a TDEC show that it's completed, and I think they've already been out and looked at it, and I think it's sufficient at the time. We will have to, of course, maintain that property going forward, and it will be inspected probably at least yearly to make sure that it's not retaining water and everything going forward, and see if we have corrected the problem. As you can see, the streetscape, the paving, everything's been done. The last major item remaining for that is landscaping, and that cannot be done until November because it's outside of TDOT's planting season, which is November to April. So right now the plan is for the contractor to come back the second week of November and plant the landscaping, and that should complete the project. There was an issue brought up last week at the work session by County Commissioner talking about a face mask mandate. As I've said before, I'm not going to mandate face masks for various reasons. One of the things I think that would be diverting law enforcement resources away to something that, as I've said, under the thing that the governor's office sent out would be a Class A misdemeanor, which is the same as assaulting someone or having up to half an ounce of marijuana. Not only that, but we have limited resources already in our sheriff's department with so many few deputies on shift at a time. And I don't think there'd be good use of their time going around with businesses and everything trying to enforce a mask mandate that I find questionable. As far as it goes, we did see a slight spike in our numbers, especially on July 16th and 17th. There were 23 cases those 2 days. Since that time, however, we have had only 22 cases since then, so it comes out to 2.2 cases per day. Up to, including those July numbers, was about 3.6. We have seen a decrease in those, and there had been a decrease in trend before those 2 dates. So if you take those dates out, I think we're in pretty good standing. As far as the county buildings go, the senior citizen center is still closed under the order of the governor. The sheriff's office is pretty much off limits to the public except for the drive-in and some other areas. The courthouse the criminal county justice center. Once the courts are in session, that is being done under an order by the Tennessee Supreme Court. We have no control of that. Other than that, people can't go past that little foyer, so they're right there at those windows, which separates them from any of the staff. The library is following the regional library system. directions on that as far as COVID-19. Really, the only building people are really coming into would be the administration building. We are requiring people to wear a mask. We have set out a table and chair at the entrances with free masks there given to us by the health department. Most people seem to be abiding that. I actually saw one gentleman come in today, didn't have a mask, saw the sign, picked up one of the masks, put it on, and then went to the office. We also have put blue X's on the ground showing where the social distancing is in those offices. We have put up sneeze guards and everything to separate the staff from anybody coming in. So we've done just about everything we can, and we are sanitizing pretty regularly over there, so I think we've done everything we can in the administration building. So that's my report for this month. If they have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions from the mayor? Thank you, sir. Moving into committee reports. Steering committee met on July the 7th. Had several items sent to the various committees. One was the resolution that's on your agenda for tonight, budget and finance. This is sales tax increase support resolution. Ordinance to adopt the 2018 ICC codes was sent to Codes and Zoning Committee. They will meet on it soon. We talked about the Scruggs property at the top of West Main up here, whether to clear it off to sell it or what to be done with it. And let's see, support resolution or an intent from the mayor to apply for a grant, multimodal TDOT grant on access to the upper end of Broadway. And there was an issue with the Ag Extension Building still being in the name of the school board, never did get transferred over to the county, and trying to work out the details and get that taken care of. I believe that was it. I think there was some discussion on the mask that night as well, and we talked about that in the work session as well. Did I miss anything on steering? Okay. Next was budget finance, met July 20th, last Monday. We went over the county financial summary and trustees report for June. The ending figures are still coming in. There's still some outstanding purchase orders and things that, and some outstanding grant monies that hopefully will come in before we completely close out the books for the year. But it was accepted. There was no budget amendments at all for this month, which is pretty typical going into the beginning of the new year. And we did have a support resolution for the local option sales tax increase that was approved, and it is our agenda. Anything else in budget finance? County Buildings Committee met July 16th.
Yes. The mayor addressed the group concerning the American Disabilities Act and the need for the court and the needs for the courthouse that was discussed. The rear door will need a power button and a motor that will let a handicapped person open the door by pushing the button. Signs have been placed in county buildings that can be read by the blind. The mayor's already touched on the streetscape project, which we also discussed, that it was mostly completed except for landscaping. Would wait for a better time for the planting of the trees and the shrubs. Then we went into a discussion of the window replacements for the county courthouse here to make the building more energy efficient. There had been a bid for Martin windows, and it was a little under $132,000. There was a motion that was approved to purchase the installation of new windows for the Travis County Courthouse, and it was understood that we will have the current bid updated and see if we can get more bids, and that it will be the task of the budget committee to see if they can finance this improvement. Next, there was a motion to have the county clean up the Scruggs property and then try to sell it at public tax sale, and that passed. Then there was discussed the old Board of Education offices on Broadway. The county maintains some buildings and pays the utilities and lets the county extension offices use the building as well as the election office. And so, there was a motion that carried to have the deed changed to reflect the county's ownership. Mr. Whitaker also brought forward the importance of wearing masks in all county buildings if possible, please. And we adjourn. Thank you.
Employee personnel met July 9th.
On July 9th, we met and had a variety of things that we talked about. One of the things that the committee discussed for a while, we are in the process of studying the different logos, if you will, or the branding of the different departments throughout the county, and that we would like to streamline as we go forward, come up with one logo that has the different departments and CPS inside of it. We had asked the departments to draw something up. The departments decided they kind of liked it the way they were. The committee decided we would like to move forward with trying to brand it just as one thing. So we have asked a gentleman, Roy Dice, called me today to ask me a little bit more about it, trying to come up with some prototypes of what it would look like. Then they can put different departments put their own little thing in the middle. So right now we don't really have anything to show anybody, but we didn't really want to come before the full body until we had something to show you. And then what we'll do is we'll have the prototypes on the branding, which will go on a shirt, go on a business card, go on the logos, and we go forward. So it's not like it's like a running change. It won't be something where they have to all go out by that thing. It's just when it's time to do something, like to streamline, just have just one image or brand, which seems to be big. And that's where we are with that. So we have to wait for our prototypes come before we break the deadline of that to decide what to do next. We also have reached out to MTask about helping us on some issues within a lot of these pertain to HR issues. And so MTask said that they have a gentleman that would help us with that. And I believe it's Vicky or somebody at the office, helps with HR. So they're now beginning to discuss the different issues because none of us on the committee and the commission as a whole have we're not full-time HR people. So we know that we need some assistance on that. And the thing to do, even evaluating the pay scales of all the different departments, which was recently discussed, they said they could really help us with that, but they already had some things that were in play that other counties had asked for that in the past, and they could help us to draw up the resolutions that are going to be needed to improve those areas. So we're working on that too. And the last thing that the committee kicked around was the fact that the committee voted in favor of trying to implement or researching ways to try to implement this as a goal before the end of 2020 to have the county convert over to direct deposit instead of the old-fashioned checks. And so we're trying to find out. We know what some of the issues were in the past because of the way that the employees were paid almost up to the day that they're working, and we're having to come up with a midnight to do that. We're trying to come up with ways to do that, and the goal is to try to have this implemented, if possible, by the end of this year. So we'll see how that plays out.
Law enforcement meeting was scheduled for July 23rd. We canceled it because there was no need to meet. The anticipated business did not materialize. Prison relations met June 18th. Ms. Ford.
This is you. We were talking about that last week. I'm telling you, about it.
Okay. Sorry. Purchasing oversight, July 20th.
Yes, we did meet on July 20th, first time we've met since January the 21st. The agenda for purchase and oversight is a 5-man-woman committee, and we went over all the different items, which we have it, if you see the different items that we went over the back of this sheet, and it's over 5,000 that are paid by the office monthly. And we didn't find anything that we thought was extravagant. There's a lot of items on here and a whole lot of money. But still, they were within bounds and have been presented, and that was basically a 6-month presentation because we only did it before.
The ethics committee met on July 14th, you want to just briefly bring us up on that?
Yes, ethics committee did meet July 14th. We just met as an organizational meeting that night. Myself was actually chair, elected chair, Mr. Hartsville, and vice chair of that committee, and Ms. Lindsay Johnson was the secretary of that meeting. Just as an organizational meeting.
I purposely skipped the education committee, did meet on July 23rd, and the reason I did that is I wanted Dr. Satterfield to take the floor and give us kind of an update on some of the things that the education committee did that night. Primarily, we talked about the middle school roof project, where we were within their plan for opening schools, and his quarterly financial report, which I think he wants to share with us. So, felt like this was the best time to try to tackle that.
Financial report is being passed out. If you got any extras, just hold them, I'll pick them up. Chairman Jill, do you want to start with the financial summary?
You can.
Of course, this is the, our end of the year closeout for FY20. This is not the audit actualized, but these are our closeout numbers, and they'll be like really close when we get our audit figures in. One of the things I've done all year in doing this, I've tried to compare where we are this year to where we are from where we were last year. The first 2 pages are this year's budget, FY20, and then the last 2 pages, and they're highlighted in blue, is the prior year, FY19. So those blue highlighted numbers are last year's numbers, and then the yellow ones, of course, are this year's numbers. So if you look at the first page, just looking at current property tax at the top. This year we brought in $1,495,603. Last year that was $1,469,335. So we collected $26,268 more in property tax than we did in the prior year. Another big one for us is the local option sales tax. Looking at the number in yellow, this year we collected $430. Last year that was $709,560, and which we collected $76,870 more than we did in the prior year. When you move down to total revenues, this year our total revenues was $11,077,291. Last year revenues was $10,903, and that's a difference of $174,061. So we brought in about $174,000 more than we did in the prior year, which is a good thing. If you turn over to the second page and you look at the expenditure page, last year we spent $11,659,486 as compared to last year. In the prior year it was $11,487,140, which meant we spent $172,346 more than we did in the prior year. And then the main talking point is and I circle that in red, is the net change in fund balance. That net change is $582,195.38. So that's how much money hit against our fund balance. So I wrote that in by pencil right there, is our fund balance for this year, very close when we get audit figures. Our fund balance, we will end FY20 with $3,383,167 in FY20 fund balance. Next year, our deficit anticipated hit against fund balance, this approved budget we're going into FY21 is $1,223,000, which this time next year, the estimated fund balance would be $2,160,167. So the thing is to just keep being remindful is the fund balance as we started the year this year was right at 3.9 million. We finished this year at 3.3, and next year the anticipated fund balance goes to 2.1. And those are the things that I just continue to try to make the commission aware of. And so that's it. That's it on that. Yes, sir, Mr. Dick.
How do you beat DEP if that issue?
Our BEP, we gained about, I'd say we got about $80,000 more of growth money this year, but when the COVID hit, we didn't get a second payment. So we was hoping to get a little bit more, but we got a little bit more fund balance this year than we did, BEP funds as we did in the prior year. Just be mindful that the only time you get growth money is because you got more students as compared to other people. So there's other expenses. We had to add a teacher at Christmas as well. You know, so there's also, if you're getting BEP money, you also get more expenses too. So it kind of flows through. But to answer your question, we got a little bit more money in fund balance than we did in the prior year. And then I think Chairman Jewell, you wanted me to address some items.
The middle school roof project, I see that they brought some materials in and there's some equipment up there. So,
If you go down Andrews Avenue at the back of the middle school, they've got a pallet of materials. I think they've been working a little bit on the hoods, the vents on top, sealing them, getting ready to relocate those items. We had a construction meeting a week ago from today. It was our first construction meeting with the contractor and architect, and they said they're going to gradually pick up the work, but we should see roofers every day until the project is done, beginning on Monday, August the 3rd. So we work on where they're going to put materials, locate materials in places where they need to stay out of. We also, they asked us about where they wanted us to start the project, and the main part of the really damaged part of the roof is around that office area. So we asked them to start on the north side of the building where the gymnasium is. We're not re-roofing the gymnasium, we're saying we're starting in that area where that 8th grade science lab is. And we can start there and move south. And then that would get that principal's office covered as fast as we could. So we would just work from north to south on that. So that's about all I have on that. We're ready, they're ready to get started on that. I think a little bit where we got a little delayed for a month, I think they were, A-alert was on the schedule, and then when that didn't materialize, I think they went to something else and came back to us. But everything seems to be on schedule now.
did you want to touch on school opening at all?
I can. We did discuss school reopening. You've seen a lot of stuff on the news and stuff. Most districts are really struggling about how they're going to reopen, and they're changing plans. We've seen some districts are going back 100% distance learning, which have no students in school. I think Davidson County is doing that. Williamson County also decided to do that as well. We've seen districts push start date back. One of the things that we have tried to anticipate from the beginning is that there would be an anticipated reoccurrence in the fall. So this situation, this infection may get worse before it gets better. So what we try to do is start with a hybrid plan where our students would learn one day in person and then match that when they learn from home, day digital. We won't be perfect on the first day, but what we are definitely trying to do is give our students and teachers an opportunity to practice face-to-face and digital instruction, so that if we do have to close for an extended period of time, which most people anticipate, then our students and teachers will have enough practice so that they can move to a 100% digital environment, and then that will be a much more quality learning experience than what we experienced in the spring when we had a sudden and unexpected school closure. So we feel good about our plan. We've seen other districts around us. I mean, you know, the Vidant guys here, he's sold a lot of papers, with, our plan and the resistance to it. But I think as you look around, other districts are starting to mimic what we started in June. And I think it's the safest way that we've got to open up and do in-person teaching and learning. The great thing about wearing a mask is we have a mask policy as well. Our mask policy is that you have to wear a mask when social distancing cannot be maintained. When is that? Well, when you're riding a bus, when you're going in and out of the building, when you're in a corridor and you're exchanging classes. However, our classrooms are set with our desks at least 6 foot apart, and students like I am now, that, their teacher, as long as they're 6 foot apart, they can take their mask off, and it gives us the opportunity to have a decent opportunity at good teaching and learning. So that's where we are on that. If you got any questions at any point in time, I'll be glad to answer those now or later.
Go.
Ask the letters of the alphabet, was it A through what days?
Yeah, it's A through J and K through Z. So the A through K, their schedule is Monday and Thursday, and then the other group is Thursday and Friday. And then we have some optional days. Tuesday, Friday, I'm sorry. And then we have an optional day on Wednesday where students can come. Ms. Jackson?
So if you don't see a resurgence in the numbers, the virus going up, do you anticipate going back to a full schedule?
That's the game plan. We're kind
How
of
would that
starting.
be evaluated?
We evaluate that every month with our health coordinator, Ms. Atwood, and then the regional health coordinator, Tim Diffender. What's his name? Diffender. So he does trials down in Wilson County.
So that is your goal, to go back to a full schedule?
Well, we would love to do that. We just got to be sure that we can do that in a safe
What is the
place.
percentage you're looking at to do that?
We don't have a threshold that it's a go, no go for us. We just have to evaluate that, month to month.
So what are you going to evaluate it by?
What's that?
If you don't have a threshold, what are you going to evaluate it by?
The recommendations of our health coordinator, our regional health coordinator, our school nurses, tell us what. The biggest thing that we're concerned about the most is the availability of staff. How much staff we're going to have available to run buses, clean surfaces, and also to teach children. So we've got to watch the infection rate of our staff realistically more than anything we can do.
Mr. Ford?
Looking at your budget, you're showing that you're going to be even considerably less on your fund balance next year, even though you're getting more in property tax and sales tax. So where does your bleeding come from? Where are you diminishing your fund balance from?
Well, I think
Obviously,
one of
you're
the things
spending
is,
more.
the more on the revenue side was $174,000 more than you had in the prior year. $174,000 out of over $11 million budget. So, that is a minor number. And then also, as you add staff, as our teacher salaries go up, they're based off of years of experience and degrees. Your salaries are always increasing. Services, one of the things, like I said, we've added a teacher or two over time. We added a nurse position because of COVID, this is just recently. So just the normal, just the normal operation of school is, it takes a little bit more to run schools each month.
You show $1,223,000 deficit in your FY 21 budget. Is that the items that you're telling me about, the reasons you fund balance is going down?
I don't know if I'm hearing you well enough. Can you say it again?
You're showing $1,223,000 deficit in your FY 20 budget.
Yes.
And in your FY 21, you're saying it's going to be $2,160,167.
Yeah, right
That's
now,
what I'm concerned about. Why
Yeah.
where's that $1,223,000 going? You get more
just
money
to
every
run
year.
the services of students. I mean, as you know, a budget is an estimate, and our estimated expenditures exceed our estimated revenue by $1,223,000. I mean, that's the budget, that's the estimations. I mean, we try to save as much as we can. This year, I think it was estimated to be like $925,000 deficit. This year, it was, what did we say? $582,195. So, that's a difference of about $300,000 that we were able to save this year from the estimated change in fund balance. So hopefully we'll have a good year, but in this COVID environment, we're buying a lot more cleaning, disinfecting materials, wipes, hand sanitizer. I just don't know where that will go. Maybe more than that.
Plus your budget figures, your revenues are purposely understated, and your expenditures you try to overstate so that there's no surprises later. And as we came up this last year, we had a situation where the budget was affected. Hopefully that will happen in the next year as well. Ms. Gray?
Yes, I want to know, when your kids are out of school and they're supposed to be doing online learning, how are they doing that? If they don't have a computer in their house, if they don't have internet to their houses?
Our students in grades 3 through 5 will be issued a Chromebook. That Chromebook has the capacity of working offline. So when they're at school, they can load their materials, their assignments, even video onto that Chromebook when they're at school, and then they can work offline, and then when they come back to school on alternating days, they can upload that to their
So is it the child's responsibility then to make sure he has downloaded the stuff, or will that be the teacher?
No, it will be the student who will have to be responsible for his own device and loading and uploading. Now, the teacher will teach them how to do that.
Okay, that was my next
Yes,
question.
ma'am. And another thing is that for the early grades, K through 2, that will be more paper pencil work. They don't have
So
a
they'll
digital device.
sit home with handouts.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. For the early grades.
Is that K through 2?
2, yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Ms. Hadley?
So, Coach, are they going to be actually changing classes or staying in one classroom and then the teachers will
Yeah.
change?
It's according to where you are in what school and grades. In the early grades, it is very easy to cohort students when they're in a self-contained classroom and all the subjects are taught by one teacher. So the early grades, that piece of cohorting that you're talking about is easy to maintain. As you get up into the high school grades, where they have courses and credits, then that is nearly impossible to do. And then somewhere in the middle of school, it's kind of like in the middle. But that depends on what school and what grade you're in. But our principals are taking every effort they can to minimize transitions and exchanges of students and classes everywhere they can. But one of the things is, they're not issuing lockers this year because, that creates a lot of congestion, and they ask all the students to use a backpack this year.
What I think Commissioner Ford was trying to say is that he doesn't see where a couple of teachers and nurses are concentrating on being on deficit. But what I was wondering is the federal funding going to change any with the difference in online or with a lot of the students being homeschooled this year or online school or doing the hybrid school with federal funding being different?
I do not anticipate federal funding to be different unless there's another stimulus grant, like you heard probably about the CARES Act.
Yes.
I think we've been talking about that for months. We got $238,000 in that, and we spent a little over $200,000 of that with digital devices for students. So hopefully, there might be another type of grant that would come out for that. I was watching TV the other day, and I saw congressmen and stuff talking about the possibility of another round of stimulus. So hopefully we can be of some benefit of that.
You spoke about hiring a visual person earlier this summer. Did you hire someone for that position?
We have not. But we are looking at using some of that funds to use like a part-time contracted service. Like we're still waiting on our Chromebooks to come in for grades 3, 4, and 5. So having some people to come in and just pay them by the hour to do a contracted service and not having people for a long period of time. We learn some things as we go along.
I got two questions for you. With the Chromebooks now, tell me about the high schoolers. Do all high schoolers automatically have a tablet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
If they sign the responsible use policy, which means they'll take care
so
of
you've
it.
already got those purchased?
Yes, ma'am. Most of those, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We used those in the spring when we had the COVID closure. We actually had a Chromebook dissemination where they could come to school and pick up their Chromebooks and take them home.
But my grandchildren are in middle school and high school, and they say, I said, well, where's your book? Oh, it's in our Chromebook at school. Yes.
21st century learning right there.
So let me ask you something. Are you going to have a feeding program for those children who are not at school every day?
Yeah. Miss Atwood has worked really well with that. And the idea is, it's kind of like our backpack program, where they come on Saturday and they're given food like for a week, except the students that are there on Monday will be given food for Tuesday when they're not there. And then the students who are there on Tuesday will be given food for Wednesday when they're not there.
And so then on Thursday, they'll be given
Food for Friday. The issue that we're having, and she's not here, is we're trying to get a waiver from the U.S. Department of Ed, is right now they won't let us pass food out on Friday because Saturday's not a school day. And I mean, that's just a regulation that we're trying to get through. But Ms. Atwood right now is trying to fix that with the backpack program, so she's trying to fill it for you with that.
So they would let you do it back in the summer?
Yep, they change, they
And
change
so
the
on
rules all the time.
Friday, you could give out for the whole weekend, but when it's.
Well, during the summer and when we was out for the spring COVID closure, we were only passing out meals for that day. We wasn't giving food in it that well. She did a little bit of that, but I don't know the regs on all that. But I just know that what we're trying to do, we can't give it out on Friday for Monday right now. We can do every day except for Friday right now. But she's applied for a waiver. That might change, but I can't tell you that's what's going to happen because I don't know that.
So she's applying for the waiver to give out food for Saturday and
Yes.
Sunday.
Well, or just to give out food on Friday. I don't know how
But
many
give
days.
it out for those 2 days, and then they come back Monday and get a.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be for 2 days, but certainly for the next day.
Will you be having the free lunch and free breakfast this year, like last year?
Yes, ma'am. You ever seen that at Shoney's that says kids eat free? All kids in Trousdale eat free, breakfast and lunch. And that's part of the USDA grant too, We have to reapply for that every so many years, so be to fill out all your census materials, you know, then we can qualify for that.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. We appreciate everything you're doing. I know y'all put a lot of work and a lot of time into this. Mr. Gully, did you have?
I did want to say one thing,
Okay.
I know I'm a teacher, but as a parent, I appreciate, I know a lot of, I guess, Greg, it's come out about June, making that statement in June that we're going to do a hybrid bond, but I appreciate having that knowledge ahead of what I'm doing with my children. I think it's a lot of school systems right now that their parents are really backing up on trying to find where things go, and I appreciate that part of it.
But as you know, we've got great principals and instructors, supervisors, and it's certainly been a collaborative effort.
Will there be a daycare, I think, for the days the kids don't have school? Or what about the parents that go to work, it's their
See,
responsibility?
we've actually waived that, but the issue is we don't have the available space to provide that because we're trying to maintain the social distance.
So you won't have things like the after-school?
We do have the after-school program.
You're
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yep. And the application process begins tomorrow.
All right, but if
Mr.
my
H,
child...
we really need to.
Okay.
If you want to have a conversation with him,
I'm
ask him
asking.
that with him.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. Moving into active business, I believe that's all our committee reports. Was there any other committee reports? Oh, what do you think? Active business, acknowledgement of the loan, the report on the debt obligation for the Jim Satterfield Middle School roof project. It's in your packet, goes over the rates and payback. Mayor, do you need to explain that at all, or do you think it's self-explanatory?
Well, the rates and everything didn't change when we talked about it, thinking, I believe it's sometime in June when we got, actually at the last minute, kind of got a better rate. I think the original rate was 2.292. And at the last minute, another bank came in and offered a rate of 2.77. So that saved us over 10 years, and that saved us quite a bit of money. So we went with that one. And this is just paperwork that's required by the state to be submitted to the county legislative body showing that the transaction's been closed. So none of the terms changed. This is just the formality of the paperwork has to be given out to the county commission.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two appointments. These are to the Regional Library Board. This is for a 3-year term. They're both reappointments, Janice Sloan and Tara Watson Post. Need a motion to approve these appointments. Ms. Johnson, Ms. Atwood. Any discussion on them? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. It's done. We have one resolution tonight. This is a resolution, 2020-19694, resolution to support the August referendum to increase the local option sales tax rate from 2.25% to 2.75%. This will be a 0.5% increase. We've laid out the reasons we're doing it, and we mainly are encouraging the community to vote for the resolution on this tax increase. Is there any questions about the resolution? We have a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Gully. Motion by Mr. Clary and a second by Mr. Gully. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving into ordinances, we have 3 rezoning ordinances come before you for first reading tonight. First one is ordinance 200-2020-15. This is to rezone a portion of parcel 07.12 off tax map 006 from A1 to R1. This is a 20-acre tract of land. It's going to be cutting a 1-acre tract off to for Mr. Keith son to build a home. What's the will of the body? Mr. Harvey?
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Gully. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is done. Thank you. Next is ordinance 201-2016. This is an ordinance to rezone a partial 004.03 tax map 018 from R1 to R2. This property is down on Highway 25 and Highway 10 at the intersection of Suffolk College Road. The adjoining properties are R2, large tracts R2s, changed it from to R2 for further development. This was recommended by the Planning Commission, and what's the will of the body? Ms. Johnson. Motion to approve. Ms. Atwood has a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is done. Third one is ordinance 202-2017. This is an effort to clean up, looks like an obvious error in the tax map. There were three parcels originally on Highway 231, and evidently at some point in time they were rezoned to commercial, and the map only picks up the center of the tract, but there's buildings that cover all of these tracts. So this is an effort to align the zoning with what's the use is being, the property is being used for. Mr. Ford.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Ford, a second by Mr. Dickey. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is done. This is first reading. All of these will come up for public hearing and second reading at next month's meeting. We have two notaries for tonight. Tara Filkins with Parksville Convalescent Center, Christy Dalton with the Chamberlain Law Firm. We have a motion to approve. Ms. Atwood, second. Ms. Clayton. Are there any others, Ms. Rita? That's all we have. Okay. All in favor of these two being notary publics, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it is done. I do want to, once again, we need to acknowledge, for legal reasons, the resignation of Ms. Thomas. I'll read her letter. It says, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, it is with great sadness that I'm tendering my resignation. I found with a health problem, I'm having problems doing what I think is the best of my abilities. Therefore, I'm not doing what is best for my district. Please accept my resignation effective August 1st, 2020. Sincerely, Grace Thomas. Did you want to say anything?
No, I said it all last.
We will reflect in the minutes that we have received and accepted this resignation as of tomorrow. Anyone interested in that position can pick up a petition from the election commission. They need to get 25 names of people in that district that are qualified voters, and have until August 20th to turn that in. I know that there have been some talk of this already, and some people have shown some interest in it. So I think that we're going to be able to put that on the election in November and dispose of it at that time. Mr. Dean.
He wants to adjourn.
Okay, we're not through yet. You're a little bit premature. Okay. Yes.
You said her resignation was effective tomorrow. I thought her letter said August 1st.
No, her resignation is effective August 1st, but once we accept the resignation, they can go ahead and pick up petitions. They could pick one up this morning. They can pick one up tomorrow because it's been spread on the minutes of the meeting. Okay? Okay? So if something comes up between now and August 1st, she's still commissioner.
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
You said it's effective August 1st, you said effective tomorrow.
I'm sorry if I said that. It was effective August 1st. I think when I read it, that's the way I read it. I I said that they can pick up petitions starting tomorrow. Time in our business for public comment. Is there any members of the public who like to comment on anything, bring anything to the attention of the commission? This is your chance. Seeing none, Mr. Dickey. Motion to adjourn. Second by Ms. Johnson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
See you later. I'm not going to carry you away for
Yes, sir. Is it a child's parents' responsibility? They said they're available. Child care. Tuesday, they did Monday, they would also. But I'm saying, this is extra.